Okay, let there be light. Nscaler 454 here. Welcome back to the channel. I think it's about time that we put some light to our layout, and we're going to focus on the oil refinery section. And if you haven't noticed before, I've already installed the light poles all over the place. There, and even some over there. I've also installed the lighting on our main buildings like the petcoke facility, the oil loading platform, the truck loading facility, and the wall. There's oil refinery kit right there. And I've done videos on all that, so you can go back and check those out if you so wish. But we're not going to focus on doing the little lights on the layout itself on the above ground, because there is nearly endless different amount of ways that you can do lighting on there. The one thing we're all going to have in common is the wires are going to go underneath the layout, and we got to get power to that. So I'm going to show you what we're going to need. What we'll need, and the flow of electricity, is obviously going to start with our power supply. This is 12 volts, 3 amps, and I do recommend a minimum of 2 amps. 3 amps is better. Anything more than that, and well, it's not going to hurt anything. Then we have a little adapter that goes from power supply to this toggle switch right here, so we can turn things on and off. That feeds into these distribution blocks, positive and a negative. You don't need to really go more than 6 unless you have a lot of light hubs, but you mean maybe you can get away with 4, but 6 is plenty for me. And that's going to feed into another toggle switch, and that will feed into the light hub from Woodland Scenics. We have power in and 4 ports out, which means we need some of these GST-XH 2.54 millimeter connectors. And that is going to feed our lights. And the example I'm going to show right here is our little light poles. And you can see they come all together. This is a long one and a short one, and this is our double like that. But what you can do is you can kind of split them in half, and then you have a bunch of singles, which means you kind of double your quantity, which is great. Now, I like to keep things removable, modular, whatever, so these little push connectors are really handy. So, let's get to work. My GST connection, I'll put some shrink tube on it right now to the end of it, like so. I'm pretty sure these require a 7/8 hole. And what do you know? I have misplaced my 7/8 bit. Damn it! I found it! Good news! We'll use this little adapter to go from our power supply to our 12 gauge wire, and it tells us which side is positive and which side is negative. So push that in. Ooh. As it turns out, 12 gauge is a little bit too big, so we'll clip that. Now typically I would have put an inline fuse on this, but since I don't have any, I'll have to do that at a later time. This toggle switch controls our control panel, and then this one controls our lights. Well, we're underneath the layout, which always kind of sucks, but I'll give you guys a rundown of how all of this is set up. We have our power feed, 12 volts going into our distribution blocks right here. Now I did consider running a jumper from these distribution blocks, but I did some tests and reading off a multimeter. There's 11.84 volts coming out of these ones. Yet if I run straight to these distribution blocks, it's 11.91 volts, which isn't a big deal, but I'll take the extra voltage because I'm not sure 12 volts is going to be enough for all these lights. And if it isn't, I have a contingency plan for that. In any case, from this block, or these blocks right here, we run into our toggle switches right there, which we have positive going in, positive coming out, going all the way to our light hub in ports, right? And then negative back to the negative side distribution block. And I did plan this out, so I used all 4 ports on the top, all 4 ports on the bottom. This is for the buildings, this is for the light poles right there. And what I like about these hubs is they have the rheostats right here, so you can adjust how much brightness they have or how much electricity that goes to each light. And you can fine tune it to your desire. Now I also measured the output voltage of the light hub, where I measured at the end of one of the wires, and the voltage drop will depend on the gauge of wire as well as the length of wire. So the shorter the wire or the thicker the wire, the less resistance it'll be. But in any case, these light hubs are eating up the better part of about 1.5 volts, which is quite significant, and we'll see how that affects the brightness of our LED lights. From our light hubs, we run wires through the layout, and that takes us to the different lights that we have going on above. And I do try to run multiple light poles into one connection block. It just makes things a little bit simpler, and it limits the amount of light hubs that I need, which keeps costs down. But we have it all wired up, so let's test it out. We have our toggle switches right here, which I will label at a later date. But for now, let's test them to make sure they work. Those do, and those do. Unsurprisingly, you can't really tell that they're on when the overhead lights are on. So let's dim it down and get it dark in here, and we'll see how it really looks. Okay, let there be light. Ooh, check that out. Oh, what an interesting, unique look to it. Yeah, I think that looks awesome. It definitely isn't as bright as I would like it. So I was kind of expecting that, but still, I do really like the way this is turning out. Contingency plan. This is a 24 volt output power supply, 6 amps, so there's plenty of power here. And I have tested it on one of these light hubs with a single light, and it did work, so that gives me confidence enough to test these out. But I am going to crank all of these down, right, just to make sure that I'm not going to blow anything up. Once again, let there be light. Yes! Much, much better. 24 volts is definitely the way to go. Everything is so much brighter. I was really concerned about the white lights. They just were a bit dim. And now they actually light up a whole parking lot, which is so much better. I love the way the light shines off the track. I think that looks awesome. But yeah, much, much happier. Technically, the yellow lights in the back, they can actually go a little bit brighter. So let's see here. We'll focus on the truck loading facility. Whoop. Oh yeah, much brighter. Too bright, in fact. So I will adjust that to the settings that I want. That's another plus about those Woodland Scenics light hubs. You can adjust it the way you like it. But gosh, everything looks so much better. Even the building in here, there's actually some little features inside of that, but there's no way I'm going to be able to show you on camera, but they do exist. There's conveyors and stuff in there. I think those look cool. But anyways, if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit a like button, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.